because Jesus is one with the Father, does that mean that he is a second part of God on earth while the Heavenly Father is in heaven? Well, let's see. Let's read John chapter 10, verse 30. John chapter 10, verse 30. Jesus says, I and the Father are one. End quote. So here, some people may say, hey, this says that Jesus and the Heavenly Father are one. And if Jesus and the Heavenly Father are one, that will make Jesus the second part of God and the Heavenly Father the first part of God. So what we're going to do is break this point down by itself. Jesus says I. So he refers to himself as I, as one person. The next word in Jesus' sentence is and. And is an addition. So Jesus first refers to himself as an individual, and he says, in addition to him as an individual, the Father, so he points out a second individual. So Jesus says, I and the Father, so one individual and another individual are one. So the question comes down to, are one, what does the meaning of that one means? When he says, I and the Father are one. So we know I is referring to Jesus, the Son of God, and the Father is referring to God that's in heaven. And he says, are one. The meaning of the word one, when Jesus said, let's see what that means. It's actually explained. Jesus explains the meaning of that at John chapter 17, verses 20 through 22. So let's read that. John chapter 17, verses 20 through 22. It says, where Jesus says, I make request not concerning these only, but also concerning those putting faith in me through their word, so that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in union with me, and I in union with you, that they also may be in union with us, so that the world may believe that you sent me. I have given them the glory that you have given me, in order that they may be one, just as we are one. And I'm going to stop right there. So Jesus clearly points out how him and the Heavenly Father are one. He points out what does that one means in this verse. The person may say, well, what do you mean? How? I'm going to show you. I'm going to read it again. And I'm going to stop at the point. I make requests. I'm going to start from verse 20 again. John 17:20. I make requests, not concerning these only. So Jesus making, I'm going to stop right there. Jesus making reference to, he's making a request, not to just his disciples, already established as Christians. He says, but, and then he goes on to say, but also concerning those putting faith in me through their word. So also the newcomers that's going to put faith in Jesus. And in verse 21, Jesus goes on to say, so that they may all be one. And I'm going to stop right there. So John chapter 17, verse 21, Jesus says how multiple people can be one. Yes, multiple people can be one. The question is, one in what? And then the B part of John chapter 17, verse 21, Jesus goes on to say, just as you, Father, are in union with me, and I am in union with you. I'm going to stop right there. So Jesus points out how his disciples can be one, just as him and the Father are one. Now, he's not talking about, Jesus is not describing himself as a second part of the Heavenly Father. He's describing how these are individuals that can come together in something and be one. They can come together in a harmony and become one, under the harmony of pursuing the Father's will. I'm going to finish reading it. Where he says, in verse 22, Jesus says, in John chapter 17, verse 22, Jesus says, I have given them the glory that you have given me. I'm going to pause right there. So Jesus makes reference to the Heavenly Father giving him glory, showing that one individual is giving another individual glory. Now I'm going to read it. In order that they may be one. See how it says, in order that they, multiple people, may be one. Just as we are one. So definitely Jesus clearly identifies what he means in the insight of him being one with the Father. So for argument's sake, somebody could say, well, that's just that Bible verse. I'm going to go to John chapter 17 in other Bible versions. Hold up. John chapter 17, verse 20. Okay, now I'm going to go to, I can go to really any version. I'm going to go to King James Bible version, where it says, and starting off at John chapter 17, verse 20, Jesus saying, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through the word. Now I'm going to move forward to verse 21, John 17, 21. And Jesus says, that they all may be one. So I'm going to stop right there. Look at that, where Jesus says that they, multiple people, all may be one. Now, Jesus is not referring to all of these multiple people being one as being part of one individual. And then Jesus goes on to say, I'm going to read again, that they all may be one, as though, Father, are in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us. So does that mean all of Jesus' disciples and the newcomers who start to put faith in Jesus, all of them are part of being God also? Because if someone's going to take John chapter 10, verse 30, where Jesus says, I and the Father are one, to mean that Jesus is a second part of God, well, Jesus says here in John chapter 17, verse 21, that also his disciples are joined in being one with him and the Father. You see now how it don't make sense? How some people are going to take John 10:30, where Jesus says, I am one with the Father, and then when Jesus explains the meaning At John chapter 17 verse 21, then some people may say, oh well, that don't mean that. That means something mysterious. No, God didn't send his word down here for it to be mysterious and not understood. So I was going to end it at this point. The truth is simple. Only men can make it complicated. And the truth is indisputable. So definitely it's very easy and clear and simple to see that Jesus is one in harmony with the living. Jesus is one in harmony with pursuing the will of the Father. If the Father's pursuing his will to be done, and Jesus perfectly reflected the Father and what the Father wanted to be done, and Jesus perfectly reflected the Father's character. Both individuals are one in harmony with the will of the Father to be accomplished.